Blooming from Within, A Woman's Journey to Self-Love. By Miranda Sedini. Introduction, The Path to Self-Discovery. Dear reader, welcome to the beginning of your journey toward true self-love and authentic living. The pages that follow contain stories of women just like you, struggling, growing, and ultimately blooming into their fullest selves. These diary entries are windows into real experiences that mirror the challenges we all face. Each entry is paired with reflective exercises designed to help you integrate these lessons into your own life. Remember, self-love isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's the foundation upon which you'll build healthier relationships, pursue your dreams with confidence, and create the life you truly deserve. Your journey begins now. With love and belief in your potential. Miranda Sedini. Part 1, Understanding Self-Love. Chapter 1, What is Self-Love? Diary entry, Sarah's Awakening. April 15th. I've spent 42 years being everything to everyone else. Mother, wife, daughter, employee, friend, wearing so many hats that I forgot what my own face looks like beneath them. Yesterday, my therapist asked me a question that stopped me cold. When was the last time you did something solely because it brought you joy? I couldn't answer. Not because I was being modest or thoughtful, but because I genuinely couldn't remember. This morning, I woke up early before the kids and husband, made myself a cup of tea, not coffee for everyone else, and sat on the porch watching the sunrise. Just 10 minutes. It felt revolutionary. Is this what self-love begins with? These tiny rebellions against a lifetime of putting myself last? Reflection: self-love isn't just bubble baths and chocolate, though those are lovely. It's the radical act of seeing yourself as worthy of care and consideration, not after everyone else is taken care of, but alongside them. It's giving yourself permission to have needs and honoring them as valid. Exercise, the Joy Inventory. 1. Take a blank page in your journal and divide it into 3 columns. 2. In the first column, list 10 activities that once brought you genuine joy, regardless of how productive they were. 3. In the second column, note when you last did each activity. 4. In the third column, identify one small step you could take this week to reintroduce this joy into your life. 5. Choose one item and commit to doing it within the next 7 days. Schedule it like you would any important appointment. Chapter 2, Recognizing Your Worth. Diary entry, Melissa's Revelation. June 3rd. The performance review was today. I spent weeks preparing, documenting all my accomplishments, practicing what I'd say. When Brad suggested I should be grateful for the 2% raise because times are tough, I heard myself say something that shocked me. Actually, based on my contributions this year, I believe I deserve the full 5% we discussed in my goal-setting session. The words came out steady, though my hands were shaking under the table. Brad looked surprised, then nodded slowly. Let me review the numbers again. 2 hours later, HR approved the 5% increase. On the drive home, I cried, not because of the money, but because for the first time in my career, I advocated for my worth instead of minimizing it. Mom always taught me that nice girls don't ask for more. But what if standing in your worth is the nicest thing you can do for yourself? Reflection: your worth isn't determined by how much you sacrifice or how little you ask for. Your worth is inherent. You were born deserving of respect, opportunity, and fairness. Recognizing this truth is the foundation of all healthy relationships, starting with the one you have with yourself. Exercise, the worth statement. 1. Write down 3 recent situations where you compromised your needs to please others. 2. For each situation, write an alternative scenario where you honor your worth. 3. Draft a personal worth statement that begins with I am worthy of. Complete it with at least 10 specific things you deserve in life and relationships. 4. Practice saying your worth statement aloud each morning for 1 week. Part 2, Building Self-Esteem. Chapter 3, Silencing Your Inner Critic. Diary entry, Jasmine's Confrontation. November 12th. I caught myself again today, staring in the mirror, cataloging flaws like I'm taking inventory. The stretch marks from carrying twins. The gray hairs I keep plucking. The lines around my eyes that deepen when I smile. But today, something shifted. I heard the voice in my head, "You're getting old." You're losing your beauty, and for the first time, I recognized it wasn't my voice. It was my mother's insecurities, my ex-husband's criticisms, magazine covers, and social media filters all merged into this cruel narrator I've been carrying around for decades. I placed my hands on the bathroom counter and spoke aloud, "That's enough. These marks tell my story. These lines show I've laughed. This body has carried life and survived pain. I refuse to be at war with myself anymore." I don't know if I fully believed it yet, but speaking those words felt like drawing a line in the sand. Reflection: the inner critic doesn't develop overnight, and it won't be silenced in a day. But becoming aware of this voice is the first step to challenging it. Your inner critic is not the voice of truth, it's the collected debris of other people's expectations and societal pressures that you've internalized. Exercise: name your critic. 1. In your journal, write down the 3 most common critical thoughts you have about yourself. 2. For each thought, trace it back to its possible origin. When did you first start believing this? Whose voice might it really be? 3. Give your inner critic a name, separate from yourself. 4. Write a compassionate response to each criticism, addressing it as you would a friend who was being unfairly harsh with herself. 5. Practice saying, "I notice you, critic's name, but I choose not to believe you when these thoughts arise." Chapter 4: Celebrating Your Authentic Self. Diary entry, Lynn's declaration. August 24th. I did it. After 15 years of nodding and smiling through family dinners where everyone expected updates on when I'd finally settled down, have children, and fulfill my purpose as a woman, I finally spoke my truth. I love my career. I love my independence. I may never want children, and that's a valid choice. The silence was deafening. Mom stared at her plate. Dad cleared his throat. Aunt Wei muttered something about selfish modern women. But my sister reached under the table and squeezed my hand. Later, she told me she's been feeling the same pressure but was afraid to say it. By being authentic, I not only freed myself but created space for her truth too. I don't know what the next family dinner will bring, but I know I'll arrive as my whole self, not the version of me they find more palatable. Reflection: authenticity requires courage, the courage to identify your true desires separate from expectations, and the courage to express them even when they challenge the status quo. But living authentically isn't just liberating for you, it grants silent permission for others to do the same. Exercise: the authenticity audit. 1. List 3 areas of your life where you regularly compromise your authentic self: relationships, career, appearance, opinions, etc. 2. For each area, write down what maintaining this facade costs you emotionally. 3. Identify one small authentic expression you can practice in each area this month. 4. Create a personal mantra that reminds you of the value of your authentic voice. 5. Find or create a visual symbol of authenticity, a piece of jewelry, an image, etc., to serve as a daily reminder of this commitment. Part 3: Nurturing Relationships. Chapter 5: Setting Healthy Boundaries. Diary entry, Tanya's stand. March 7th. The text came at 11:30 p.m. as I was finally falling asleep after a 12-hour shift. Need help moving some furniture tomorrow morning? Be here at 8. From my brother, as usual, not asking, just assuming. My usual response would be to rearrange my plans, cancel my only self-care appointment of the week, and show up with coffee for everyone. But something in me snapped. I texted back, "I have plans tomorrow that I can't change. I can help on Sunday afternoon if that works for you." Then I turned my phone off completely, another first. This morning, I had 3 missed calls and a text saying, "Guess family isn't a priority for you anymore." The old guilt came rushing back, but I reminded myself, my time is valuable. My plans matter. I am not on call for everyone else's convenience. I went to my massage appointment, turned my phone back off, and felt my shoulders relax for the first time in months. Reflection: boundaries aren't walls, they're the healthy definitions of where you end and others begin. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary for authentic connection. Without them, relationships become breeding grounds for resentment rather than spaces for genuine love. Exercise: the boundary blueprint. 1. Identify 3 relationships where boundaries feel unclear or consistently crossed. 2. For each relationship, list specific behaviors or patterns that drain your energy. 3. Draft 3 boundary statements using clear, non-accusatory language: I need. I can. I will. 4. Role-play expressing these boundaries, either with a trusted friend or in the mirror. 5. Create a self-care plan for managing the discomfort that may arise when you begin enforcing these boundaries. Chapter 6: Cultivating Authentic Connections. Diary entry: Maya's Circle. July 16th. I realized something today while sitting with my new book club. For years, I've maintained so many friendships that felt like work, constant effort, walking on eggshells, recovering from subtle jabs disguised as concern. I kept these connections because they were familiar, because they'd been in my life for years, because I thought that's what loyalty meant. But sitting with these 5 women I've only known for months, discussing characters' choices with honesty and vulnerability, disagreeing respectfully, laughing until tea came out my nose, I felt truly seen. The revelation hit me: friendship shouldn't feel like an obligation or a performance. It should feel like coming home to yourself through the reflection of others who genuinely celebrate your essence. I'm getting too old to spend my limited social energy on connections that require me to shrink. From now on, I choose depth over history, authenticity over familiarity, growth over comfort. Reflection: the quality of your relationships directly impacts the quality of your life. As you develop greater self-love, you'll naturally be drawn to people who reflect this same respect back to you. Sometimes the bravest act of self-love is releasing connections that no longer nurture your highest self. Exercise: Relationship Reflection. 1. Draw 3 concentric circles on a page, labeled inner circle, middle circle, and outer circle. 2. In the inner circle, write the names of people with whom you can be completely authentic and who consistently support your growth. 3. In the middle circle, list relationships that are positive but perhaps not as deeply connected. 4. In the outer circle, identify relationships that consistently leave you feeling drained, judged, or diminished. 5. For each person in your outer circle, decide whether the relationship needs boundaries, reinvention, or compassionate release. 6. Identify one action you can take this month to deepen a connection in your inner circle. Part 4: Living Your Purpose. Chapter 7: Discovering Your Passion. Diary entry: Elena's Spark. December 3rd. The community workshop was supposed to be a distraction, something to get mom off my back about finding a hobby after the divorce. I signed up for pottery on a whim, expecting to make a lopsided mug and never return. But the moment my hands touched the clay, something electric moved through me. 3 hours passed in what felt like minutes. The instructor kept walking by, nodding at my work with raised eyebrows. "You sure you haven't done this before?" she asked. I hadn't. But something about the immediacy of creation, the forgiveness of the medium, how you can collapse a mistake and begin again, spoke to a part of me I'd forgotten existed. I signed up for the 8-week course before leaving. On the drive home, I realized I was smiling, not the practice smile I've perfected for clients and my daughter's teacher conferences, but a real one that started somewhere deep and rose to the surface unbidden. Is this what passion feels like? This quiet certainty, this gentle pull back towards something that feels like remembering rather than learning? Reflection: passion isn't always dramatic or obvious. Sometimes it's a quiet recognition, a sense of flow where time ceases to matter. Your passions are clues to your purpose, not necessarily what you'll do for a living, but how you'll bring your unique energy to the world. Exercise: Passion Exploration. 1. List 20 activities that have ever made you lose track of time, from childhood to present. 2. Circle the 5 that still spark curiosity or longing. 3. Choose one circled item and commit to a passion date with yourself to explore it. 4. After your passion date, journal about how it felt in your body to engage with this activity. 5. Identify any limiting beliefs that have kept you from pursuing these interests. 6. Create a seasonal passion plan, choosing one activity to explore each season of the coming year. Chapter 8: Creating Your Vision. Diary entry: Amara's Blueprint. February 18th. I've always rolled my eyes at vision boards and 5-year plans. They seemed like exercises in magical thinking, as if cutting out pictures of beach houses would somehow manifest one in my life. But after 6 months of therapy and really examining how I ended up in a career and relationship that never aligned with my values, I'm seeing the value of intentional visioning. Not as some law of attraction exercise, but as permission to want specific things unapologetically. Today, I wrote a letter from my future self, the self who made choices aligned with her truth rather than her trauma. The woman who wrote back to me wasn't perfect or free from struggles, but she was fundamentally at peace with her choices. She had prioritized creative fulfillment over status, authentic connection over superficial approval, financial independence over golden handcuffs. The most powerful line she wrote was, "You already know what you want. You've always known. The question is, are you brave enough to admit it to yourself?" I am. Finally, I am. Reflection: creating a vision for your life isn't about rigid planning or unrealistic fantasies. It's about getting deeply honest about what matters to you and making choices that align with those values, even when they diverge from the expected path. Exercise: values-based visioning. 1. Identify your top 5 personal values, e.g., authenticity, connection, creativity, security, growth. 2. For each value, write a paragraph describing what a life honoring this value would look like. 3. Create a visual representation of this vision, whether a traditional vision board, a written manifesto, or another creative expression that resonates with you. 4. Identify 3 areas where your current life conflicts with these core values. 5. Choose one area and brainstorm 3 incremental steps you could take toward greater alignment. 6. Select an accountability method, whether a trusted friend, regular journal check-ins, or another system that will help you maintain focus on this vision. Conclusion: the ongoing journey. Dear reader, as you reach the end of these pages, remember that the journey of self-love is not linear. There will be days when these lessons feel natural and embedded in your being, and others when old patterns resurface and require gentle redirection. The path to authentic living isn't about perfection, it's about progress, presence, and the courage to keep choosing yourself even when it's difficult. The women whose diaries you've read are reflections of the multifaceted nature of the feminine experience. Their stories contain universal truths, but your journey will be uniquely yours. Trust it. Honor it. Continue to show up for it with curiosity and compassion. The greatest act of self-love is believing that you are worthy of the effort this journey requires. Because you are, completely and unquestionably worthy. May you bloom wildly and without apology. With enduring faith in your becoming. Miranda. The end.